Right now, as you watch this, the most consequential peace negotiation of 2026 is in its final hours. And the two sides are telling completely different stories about how close a deal actually is. On Friday, Donald Trump stood at a rally in New York and told the crowd the Iran war will be over soon. He said oil prices are going to tumble the moment he finishes with Iran. He said a peace deal has been largely negotiated. Then his Secretary of State Marco Rubio confirmed significant progress has been made. And a source close to the negotiations told a major American outlet that a final draft agreement was agreed to early Saturday morning and would be announced within 24 hours. That was yesterday. So where is the announcement? Here is what is actually happening behind the closed doors. The deal being discussed has two phases. Phase 1 ends the active military conflict and reopens the Strait of Hormuz, the waterway through which a fifth of the world's oil passes every single day. Phase 2 covers everything harder: Iran's nuclear program, sanctions relief, the frozen Iranian assets worth tens of billions of dollars, and the question of whether Iran retains any right to uranium enrichment at all. The problem is that Iran and America cannot agree on Phase 1 without Phase 2 being at least sketched out. Iran is not going to reopen the strait, hand over leverage, and trust that sanctions get lifted later. And Trump is not going to lift sanctions before the uranium question is answered. That is the gap. And Iran's side is calling it deep and significant. Now look at who is in the room: J.D. Vance, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner. On the Iranian side, Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf. And, standing between them, Pakistan's Army Chief General Asim Munir, who flew personally to Tehran on Friday and met with Iran's president. Pakistan's Prime Minister and Foreign Minister then flew to Beijing, Iran's largest trading partner, for a 4-day visit specifically aimed at getting China's backing for any deal framework. This is the biggest diplomatic mobilization since the Islamabad talks in April. Now, here is what Iran actually wants. 3 things that Trump has called red lines. First, Iran keeps some right to uranium enrichment. Trump has called any enrichment a red line. Second, ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz pay Iran a levy. Trump says the strait must reopen with no tolls, free for all shipping. Third, sanctions must be lifted and a significant portion of Iran's frozen overseas assets released immediately, not after compliance is verified, immediately. And here is what Trump wants that Iran has rejected: full surrender of enriched uranium stockpiles, a permanent moratorium on enrichment, zero tolls on Hormuz, and a timeline for sanctions relief tied to verified compliance, not faith. Both sides have approved a draft. Both sides say gaps remain. And Rubio says there may be something to announce today. What does this mean for your petrol prices? Oil fell this week on peace optimism, but traders are pricing in the possibility that this deal collapses at the final moment, because it has happened before. The 2-week ceasefire held, then Iran seized ships, then talks broke down, then they restarted. This cycle has happened 3 times since April. If a deal is announced today, oil drops sharply, potentially $5 to $8 in a single session. Your petrol prices begin falling within 2 weeks. Your energy bills follow in the weeks after that. If talks collapse again tonight, oil spikes back above $100. And Trump has already told the world what he does next. He said he will blow Iran to kingdom come if a deal cannot be reached. That is not a metaphor. That is the documented threat on the record. There is one more thing you need to know. Tulsi Gabbard, Trump's director of national intelligence, resigned this week. Her husband was diagnosed with a rare bone cancer. She was the person in Trump's inner circle most opposed to expanding the war. Her departure removes a voice of restraint at the exact moment the most critical 24 hours of this conflict are unfolding. The next update from Rubio or from Iran could come at any moment. This page is still live. This war is not over, and your bills, your petrol, your groceries, and the shape of the next decade of global politics are sitting in a room somewhere between Washington and Tehran, waiting for 2 signatures. Geo Polity will bring you the update the moment it drops.